The stream is going. Okay, are we all ready? All right, Talia, on my mark, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go.
Good afternoon and welcome to Science Division Live. My name is Alyssa Carlson and I'm a program specialist and your host for today's chat. Today I'm joined by Drs. Tyler Lyson and Ian Miller of the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. And during their talk, I'll be watching for any questions you have here on Facebook. Hopefully we can find some time to answer a few of those questions at the end of their chat. Other than that, I'll be behind the scenes, but if you have any questions or any problems, just let us know in that chat and I'll take care of it. All right, I'm going to pass it over because this is going to be a quick talk. So, all right, Ian and Tyler, can you tell us what you do at the museum and what is up with this new discovery about after the asteroid?
Thank you, Alyssa. Can you guys see me on the other end? I think so. Okay, great. Well, my name is Ian Miller, and I'm Tyler Leeson and I are both scientists at the museum. Are going to tell you this incredible story of extinction and recovery, about a discovery that we made last year. And we're just going to give you sort of the tip of the iceberg, about 5 or 7 minutes each, and then we're going to open it up to questions, as Alyssa said. So to kick us off here, I'm going to share my screen, and let's see here. I've got a million windows open. Okay. And so let's see if we get this to work. Okay. So what we're going to tell you is a story about after the great asteroid that killed the dinosaurs and this discovery that really rocked the world here, we think, in Colorado. So to set the stage, here's a graph showing you the diversity of life over the last 600 million years. So along the bottom there is time, and starting 600 million years ago, and then along the vertical axis, is the number of families. You can think of that as the diversity or the number of different kinds of critters on the landscape. And you see how that graph moves from the left to the right, that it has all these jagged marks in it. Those are extinctions. Those are the times when life took a big hit and then recovered afterwards. And really the story of how all life got to the present day is the story of extinction and recovery. And I really want you to think of extinction sort of like this. So you can see on the left-hand side a pre-extinction world. It's sort of a branching tree. So that diagram you see there is all the branching diversity of life. And then that red line is the extinction. And it clips off lots of different kinds of life. And that could be, different kinds of ecologies or different styles of living, or even different critters themselves. But whatever makes it through, those few lines that make it through the big red bar, become the things that diversify in the world afterwards. So extinction is both a time of loss, but also a time for the origination of new life on Earth. So I want to take you back to the last great mass extinction in Earth's history. This happened 66 million years ago, and probably many of you know that's when the dinosaurs go extinct. And we were hit by a giant space rock moving about 150,000 kilometers an hour. It smashed into what is now the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, and blew a hole in the ground 180 kilometers across, 20 kilometers deep. It liquefied the surface of the Earth and it was like a rock dropping into water and had a little drip, or like when you drop a rock, you see a resurgence of water. And that was about the height of Mount Everest, so a mountain the size of Mount Everest in the middle for a few minutes. Shockwaves went from Mexico to Alaska in 5 minutes. Unbelievable catastrophe, and that served to eradicate the dinosaurs. So here's just a kind of a fun image. What we think maybe Colorado looked like a minute after the asteroid impact, as the shockwave and firestorm came north. And here's Tyrannosaurus Rex and Triceratops, both dinosaurs at the end of the Cretaceous, that would have seen this unbelievable moment in Earth's history in which we're hit by this giant asteroid. So what do we know? We know that at that moment, we had this unbelievable diversity of dinosaurs, all those sort of faded out images there, living in a Cretaceous world. This is a picture of actually Tyler's backyard, where many dinosaurs fossils come from. And there are no dinosaurs above that line that marks the moment the asteroid hit. And so we know we went from a world like this unbelievably diverse world, this dinosaur world. Here's two amazing critters called Anzu Wiley and a dance here. And they lived in a forest that was incredibly diverse, tons of different animals and plants. These are the last moments of the Cretaceous. The asteroid hits, and we go to a world like this. It's very devoid of a diversity of life. Just those things that are very good at surviving environmental disasters make it through. So the ferns and a few other things, you can actually see a crocodile sort of really tiny there in the middle. And so, but we know that everything alive today, the amazing diversity of life that we see today, the plants, the animals, the birds, the insects, the fungi, and so on and so forth, all had ancestors that made it through the last great mass extinction. They all had ancestors that made it through that asteroid impact. And so the diversity of life today and what life looks like today is a result of that big asteroid impact and extinction 66 million years ago. So we knew how the dinosaurs went extinct. So here's a Triceratops, its skeleton. But what we really haven't known much about is how does life rebound in that first about 1 million years after the asteroid impact. So even though we know that life is diverse today and we see all the different things and we start tracing them back to these early ancestors, we don't know much, and in some cases nothing at all, about those first animals and plants that made it through the extinction and began to diversify. And so here's a picture showing little marsupials and probably placental mammals, our big group of mammals, living on top of this Triceratops skull. So what we knew before was just little stuff like this. So this is actually an incredible fossil find from after the boundary. It's just a little chunk of a jaw, and we would be able to put whole animals back together from this little chunk of a fossil. This would have been an incredible fossil. But this is what we knew. So you can imagine we had very fragmentary information from this critical interval from the things that made it through and began to diversify that led to the incredible diversity of life today. So Tyler and I are both paleontologists, and we work in this time period. And he and I, when we started working together about 5 years ago, set out to work on this problem that's actually been standing for about 100 years in paleontology. And we looked around the world and across the American West, and we were drawn to this one place outside of Colorado Springs. And here's a shot of it. That's Pikes Peak in the background. It's called Corral Bluffs. And it has the right age rocks, and a few scraps of fossils have been found there. And we thought we'd go take a look and see if we could make a discovery down there that might shed some light on this problem. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hand it to Tyler, and he's going to finish up our presentation.
Okay. Hello, Facebook world. Okay, so paleontologists have known about Corral Bluffs and fossils from Corral Bluffs for quite some time. Here's a picture from the Smithsonian's expedition in the early 1930s and 1940s, where they documented highly fragmentary fossils, much like the fossils that Ian just showed you. And our own museum has been working in this particular area for at least the last 25 years or so. But the area is geographically quite small, and the fossils were highly fragmentary, which is typical for this interval of time. So the area was largely ignored. So Ian and I started to think about this problem, and we thought that maybe we just weren't seeing the fossils. We weren't using the right search image. We weren't keying in on the right things. So we went out back to Corral Bluffs, and rather than keying in on the fossils themselves, the fossil bone, we started keying in on these rocks called concretions. So here's a concretion, and we thought that like other areas in the world where fossils are found inside these concretions, that this interval of time might have fossils preserved in these concretions. And we cracked some of these open, and we were absolutely stunned to find complete mammal skulls and complete skeletons of these animals preserved inside of these concretions. This really was our aha moment. Within a matter of an hour, we very quickly picked up 5 mammal skulls, and within a week, we picked up about 20 skulls from this interval of time, whereas before we only had fragments. So concretion by concretion, we revealed this whole skulls and skeletons of mammals, turtles, crocodiles. This entire ecosystem was trapped inside, again, these sort of ugly, nondescript looking rocks or concretions. Here we have new species of mammals, turtles, as well as crocodiles. And not only do we have an amazing vertebrate record, fossil record from this interval of time, Ian and his team collected over 6,000 plant fossils from that were living alongside these mammals and turtle and crocodile fossils. So we have an amazing vertebrate record, and we also have an amazing plant record. But not only that, we also were able to date the rocks in which the fossils were found. So this allowed us to very precisely date every single plant fossil, over 6,000 plant fossils, and all of the vertebrate fossils, well over 1,000 vertebrate fossils. So this is like what we have coined the trifecta of paleontology. It's sort of having the entire picture at our fingertips. So what did this tell us about the recovery of life after Earth's last mass extinction event? Well, this is what we knew before. We knew that a giant asteroid struck Earth right around 66 million years ago and wiped out the dinosaurs. But what we didn't know a whole lot about, like Ian had said, is we didn't know what happened afterwards until now. And so the first thing that we were able to do was use this amazing vertebrate fossil record, all these great skulls, to reconstruct body mass. So body mass is one size of, or one proxy of recovery of an ecosystem. And so we're really able to address, like, when did mammals get big after the extinction of the dinosaurs? And we found that within about 100,000 years after the mass extinction, we had mammals that were just about as large as before the extinction. You can sort of see that little jump in step there by Loxolophus. So here's an animal about the size of a raccoon that's living in the landscape 100,000 years after the extinction event, and it's just about as large as the mammals before that mass extinction event. And we also noticed 2 pretty big jumps in body size at 300,000 and 700,000 years after the mass extinction as well. To get back to that here in a minute. We used the plants and the pollen record that Ian and team collected to, can I go back? Oh, sorry. Well, we used that to really reconstruct this ancient ecosystem of, to paint these vivid pictures of what the ecosystem looked like, moving from Earth's last dinosaurs here, where the ecosystem was dominated by large dinosaurs, and these were living in really diverse forests, to the single worst day for multicellular life on Earth, when a giant rock struck Earth, completely wiped out the dinosaurs. This is the biologic reset button. And in the immediate aftermath of this world, we found a world completely dominated by ferns. This fern world lasted for 100 to maybe a couple thousand years. And in the understory of this fern world, we had the animals that survived this mass extinction, including the largest mammal to survive the mass extinction, which is about the size of a rat, which you can see here in the bottom part of your screen, as well as the largest animal that survived the mass extinction. And that is a large soft-shell turtle that weighed a couple hundred pounds. This world was replaced by a palm-dominated world. The forests were completely dominated by palms, and in the understory of this palm forest, the mammals begin to diversify. This forest was replaced in about 300,000 years by a forest that was slightly more diverse. The forests were diversifying. One of the key groups that were diversified was the walnut family, which includes the pecan pie. And in this exact same moment, we had mammals that jumped up in size considerably. There was a 30-fold increase in body size compared to the mammals that survived the mass extinction. And so we dubbed this the pecan pie world, the diversification of the walnut family, as well as this big increase in body size. And then at 700,000 years, the forest continued to diversify. One of the key findings we found with the forest was the first appearance of legumes or bean pods. Right here in Colorado, Ian and his team found the world's oldest bean pod. And beans are, of course, rich in protein. And so we dubbed this the protein bar world because, again, in that exact same interval of time, 700,000 years after the mass extinction, we see mammals, the largest mammals from our research area, about the size of a wolf. And this is 100-fold increase in body size compared to the mammals that survived the mass extinction. And so this is a great summary of our discovery. Me and Ian, as well as 14 other folks, describe or published this discovery in the scientific journal called Science. We worked with Howard Hughes Medical Institute and the Tangled Bank Studios, as well as PBS Nova, to create a 1-hour documentary called Rise of the Mammals, which you can stream online now at pbs.org. And then we worked with museum professionals at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science to create this wonderful exhibit, After the Asteroid, which I'd encourage you to go and visit once the museum opens back up. But in the meantime, you can go, if you want to learn more, you can go to the website, coloradosprings.dmns.org to learn more about this incredible discovery. And with that, I'd just like to leave you with a 1-minute clip of the PBS Nova documentary that I think really sums up the excitement as well as the importance of this particular discovery. So enjoy.
Oh man, Tyler, I don't think we have audio on your video.
Oh, really?
Yeah, can you unplug your headphones and see if we can just play it through the computer and try again?
Say again. Stop share.
Can you unplug your headphones and just play it through?
There's just nothing like picking up something and finding out it's something amazing.
It was crazy the way it happened.
Bam! We hit a big. I just found a mammal skull.
It was like opening a door into a new world.
We want to build up a picture of how life evolved at this period.
Some things survive, right? Including some of our earliest ancestors.
Over the last 66 million years, mammals evolved an incredible diversity of forms.
That moment of rapid mammal evolution is effectively the trigger to our existence here on planet Earth.
All right, thank you.
Thank you guys, that was awesome. We do have some questions from Facebook. I think we have a few minutes to take some of those, maybe 2 questions. We have a bunch of questions about your concretions that you found. So I think to put all these questions together, have you ever found fossils and concretions before this discovery? And how did that change biology or paleontology? And what was the ratio of concretion to just a rock that you found?
Yeah, so we do find concretions and fossils and concretions in other rock units. In fact, it's the most common way you find fossils in marine environments, in ancient seas and whatnot. But fossils and concretions in land-based environments are actually quite rare. And so that was the real breakthrough, was when we realized that in this land-based environment that we could find these fossils inside of these concretions. I think that was a real surprise to us, as well as a lot of other paleontologists around the world. And we're hoping that this sort of new search image or this new lens will sort of break open other areas, and folks will start finding fossils from this critical interval of time as well. Mother Nature tends to repeat herself, so we know, or we think that this type of preservation will be found elsewhere in the world. And then maybe about, to answer the other part of the question, maybe 1 in about 200 of the actual concretions have fossils, vertebrate fossils inside of them. So not every concretion actually has a fossil inside of it.
Whoa, that's amazing. 1 in 200. I would just be out there with my hammer.
You gotta break a lot of rocks.
That's crazy. All right. How large was your crew, and how long did it take you to actually prepare all of the specimens that you guys found?
So our crew is actually quite large. So we go out with teams of people into the field, mostly a few select volunteers and lots of interns and other staff members. And the field work is usually a team of 8 to 10 people. But the team extends so far beyond that. So there's a really big team of scientists that are working on this. The initial set of scientists was about 16, but it's grown well beyond that as people work on different aspects of the project and take it in new directions. We estimated that we spent about 10,000 hours in the field collecting fossils to get ready for this first discovery across our team. So it takes a long time and it takes a lot of dedicated effort, but the payoff is huge for us to get a glimpse into this moment that we've never really been able to see before, to see these earliest ancestors in the plant and animal kingdoms that gave rise to much of what is alive today. I think you're muted, Alyssa.
Yeah, you're muted.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. So you might have to say that again.
Yeah. I bet you guys can't wait to get back out there and see what else you can find. And I can't wait to see what it is back at the museum. So thank you guys so much for joining us. I think we're about at the end of our time for this segment, but we hope you, everybody on Facebook, joins us again next week for another Science Division Live right here on Facebook. Thank you to Tyler and Ian for joining us today.
Great.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Bye.